grind. It's the grind. It's the grind. It's the grind.
Basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft. You have to do the hard stuff and watch that game and study that game to not make those mistakes over and over again just because you weren't brave enough to face it. You gotta deal with it. Gotta deal with it. Face it, learn from it. And all those little things, and it sucks. But you don't want to have that feeling again, do you? Right? So you gotta really study it, face it. And not to say you'll win the next time you face it, but at least you'll give yourself a better chance.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, what an absolute legend. If you equate what he's saying to punting, it's about learning from his mistakes and not doing the same thing over and over again. And if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you generally get the same results in life and in punting. So it's about learning, it's about changing. And that's what we're trying to do here on The Grind, is get better each week. Last week, we had a week off last week. I was recovering from the 96K walk that I did, which was a lot of grinding involved in that. Mentally, it was very hard. Physically, it was very, very taxing. But the reason I do it is for the mental grind and just knowing I can get over those challenges and helping me with life, really. Knowing that I can overcome the obstacle and I can get through and put my head down and get the job done. 28 hours it took, with no sleep all the way through the night. A big thank you to the three people who donated to me off the show: Andrew Hannon, Owen Blacker, and Nick Thomas. Big thank you to you guys for donating to the cause. Really appreciate it. The weekend was a real interesting one. Got the Broncos home, which was fantastic. Coming back over the Panthers, I got them going for an absolute stack in the grand final. I'm very confident going into that grand final as well. I noticed the betting was about $1.70 and $2.30 for next week. I can't believe how short the Storm are. I think the Broncos should be favourite. Reason being, Storm have come in off two easy semi-finals. The Broncos get Carrigan back, and they're playing. They're just playing with such belief. And as I said about 6 weeks ago, the body language when I saw them get beat down in Melbourne by the Storm, I loved the body language. They're really playing for each other. Madge knows how to win a grand final. Not that Craig Bellamy doesn't, but I just think Melbourne haven't been playing as well as they can, and the Broncos will get them. So fingers crossed, and we'll see what happens next Sunday. Pride of Jenny, what a win. Got over the top of Treasure the Moment. So one thing I want to do today is have a look back at Saturday and look back. So I just want to show you there's one change on the King's Zone site. So if you have a look at the screen there at the moment, this is for Monday. So if we go back to Kilmore Race 1, used to just come up with this screen with metrics, but now you can go back further down and have a look at what was there prior. So you can go right back down, have a look all through the whole screen, and go back and check the races. At the moment, it's just for today, but we are going to go back 2 weeks. So there'll be a little date box up here where you can go back and check for the last 2 weeks of past data. So that's a change, a good change, and it's a change that you've been asking for, and there it is. So that's there now if you want to go back and check any results as well. So what I wanted to do today are 3 things. Just have a talk about what happened over the week on Saturday. I also want to start looking back at the big goes from Saturday, picking 1 or 2. Now I've got that screen where I can go back, picking 1 or 2 big goes from Saturday, reverse engineering them and seeing why they were big goes. I don't really care about the result, whether it won or whether it lost or whether I found the horse, but it's more about why the horse was such a big go, because as we know, part of punting is not just picking winners, it's picking fluctuations. So if you can pick the fluctuations of the horse, it's going to go a long way to you becoming a successful punter because it means you're getting top odds about your selection, and it means you know whether to jump in early or whether to wait on the price. So let's talk about Saturday. Let's talk about Friday night and Saturday because there were a stack of favourites got beat. Now, I knew a lot of favourites got beat, but I couldn't believe. So in the group races from Friday night and Saturday, just the group ones, twos, and threes, these are the favourites, and they all got beat. Friday night, Vinrock, Ezra, Treasure the Moment, Lady Shenandoah, and O2 Good. Every single one of them, and a few of them were odds on, all got beat. Saturday, Juju Kibo got beat. And then we had another group race where Manal, Firestorm, and Gerringong. Well, Gerringong actually started favourite. Manal, I think, opened favourite, but was about $3 out to $4. Manal won the race, so let's just pen that race as in nothing happened that race. Then we went to Tempted, got beat at $3, and Rise of Dawn, which we'll talk about later, ran second, started about $2. So there's 1, 2, if you take Manal out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 favourites in Group 1 races or Group 1s, 2s, and 3s. They all got beat. It's quite unbelievable. So that obviously isn't going to happen every group race. So I spoke about this last year, and I spoke about it on the Saturday set when I went through a few of these races, and I'll speak about it again. These horses that are second up, coming off good runs, as in flattered runs, a lot of the time will go up under the odds and can get beat. So we saw Via Sistina as well get beat last week. Via Sistina had let's go through the and just break these down, these favourites. So Vinrock was third up coming off a win, a little bit different. Ezra won first up, got beat second up, and then got beat third up. Treasure the Moment coming off that Memsey where she had all the favours, sat the fence. Second up, gets beat. Lady Shenandoah, flashing light over 1,000, unsuitable, I think, 1,000 metres. Everyone saying, what a superstar. I agree, very good horse, but didn't have the right barrier at Mooney Valley. Mooney Valley first time, which we spoke about as well. Second up, gets beat. O2 Good, second up, gets beat. Juju Kibo, a little bit different. Been up since May, got rolled. Tempted, big win first up, then draws a little bit wider, has to do a little bit more, going to 1,400 for the first time, gets beat. Rise at Dawn, second up, coming off a good first up run, gets beat. So is this just coincidence? I don't think so. Why is it the case? Are they all going to get beat? No, of course they're not all going to get beat. But you have to have the right setup for the horse a lot of the time. And the value nowadays, we've just spoken about time and time again, isn't in the obvious. So it's not in a horse that wins first up and you go, oh, how good's this horse? This horse is absolutely flying and keep following this horse because it doesn't necessarily work like that. We've seen horses who might have peaked first up and then be flat second up and then come back and win third up. Same as what Via Sistina did last year. The value is in them next start when the setup is right. So the value's in them next start. Do not sack these horses. Do not sack all of these 8 horses because they got beat. Because there's a reason why they were favourite is because they're very good horses. They got high ratings, and they will come back and win races when the setup is right. The other reason, and I think, and it's a very hard one to data-wise to sort of put your finger on, is what are these horses' grand finals? So Lady Shenandoah, probably the Everest, one, flashing light first up, second up, gone down to the valley, will be peaked for the Everest. So Lady Shenandoah, do not sack off that run. Barrier 10 at Mooney Valley, and set for a race bigger. So we saw, we're seeing horses that are going to be set for the Melbourne Cup. A horse like Vauban, pretty good first up run, failed second up. Do not sack a horse like Vauban. Very, very good horse. You've got to know, we've got to put our finger on when you think the horses are going to be peaking on the day because they'll often be very, very short. And we think back to champions like Black Caviar, and Winks that just kept winning and winning and winning. These are once in a generation horses. These horses, these 8 horses on the list, they aren't Black Caviar and Winks. They'll run in, they'll run out. So the other thing is, and I said this last spring as well, these horses, so bookies are getting results. There's 8 favourites there, they all got beat. Bookies will stop getting results in about 2-3 weeks. A lot of these favourites will start winning. The good things will start winning again. They get beat sometimes first up, they get beat sometimes second up. You'll get surprise results. Then all the form finds itself. The horses are reaching their right distances. And also, the horses are being, and I'm just talking about the group races here, the horses are then reaching the races that they have been set for more so than what they are now. Let's go and have a look at a couple of big goes from the weekend. The first one I've got is a horse that I backed, which is Alabama State. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back over here, Rose Hill Race 1, and have a look. So this is, as you can see, was a back for me, Alabama State. Let's just go and have a look at the fluctuations for Alabama. Rose Hill Race 1, the tab put up $11 early in the week, and 2 minutes later was into $6.50, or 1 minute later was into $7. So if we just ignore that fluck, because I don't really take much notice of that, but if we have a look at Sportsbet put up 6, Better put up $6.50, Ladbrokes put up $5, and Boombet put up $4.60. So let's just call it a couple of horses came out here. Gently Rolled was a late scratching, and a few others firmed. But there was no, as you can see with number 5 there, 460 out to 5, 555. So there was no huge deductions by the look of that. So let's call it, basically it was about a $5 into $3 for Alabama State. Let's go into the reasons why I think Alabama State was so well backed. And there's a real interesting one why, and that's, let's just have a look at these, the race analysis first. And you can see in the race analysis that Alabama State is coming up on every metric there, a snapshot of every metric. So there was a fast predicted tempo. Alabama State, who sits off the speed as well, so suited by that. Bullet price value. Cam ranked 1 on 90. Form factors ticked a lot of boxes there. And race strength. Now, this is a big one for Firmus, race strength. 90 ahead of 85. 5 points in race strength is quite a big gap from the top to the second. You don't often see that where a horse is 5 points race strength clear. And I think that is one of the reasons why Alabama State, coupled with the others, was why Alabama was such a big go. But if we just scroll down, so if we have a look at the cruising there, you'll see Alabama off this predicted fast tempo. Alabama had a cruising of 75. So it's going to settle sort of from barrier 2, could settle a bit closer, but was sort of predicted to settle roughly, 5th, 6th, 7th, just stalking. But the acceleration was there as well with a 104 acceleration. And the winner actually had a 107 acceleration. Righto, let's get down and have a look at this reason. And this is a big, big reason why. So Alabama was first up, 2 solid trials. The trials look good, but gelded. Horses that come back gelded are often very well backed, especially if they've trialled well. So off the back of that, with the class edge, with the fact from barrier 2 that Alabama could possibly settle a little bit closer with a rank 1 cam score and a rank 2 acceleration into an easier race with that class edge, I can see why Alabama State was so well backed and unfortunately ran second. The next race that I want to go and have a look at is this one, later race 9 in Sydney, which the horse I want to look at is Rise at Dawn, which also ran second, beaten by Waterford. Let's just have a look at the fluctuations. So we've got horses like Faulkner Park, and Osipenko who need longer. Like they put up $14 about Faulkner Park, started 33-1, completely friendless. Osipenko around that $18, $19 needs longer. Let's have a look at Rise at Dawn. Gringotts came out of this race, so there was a significant deduction on the morning of the race, but the market was reframed at around $3 for Osipenko. Let's just have a look at horse like NCAP who hadn't firmed. So 733, as you can see there, 733. This is when the market was reframed, and NCAP was $6.50 with tab, and Rise at Dawn was $3 with tab and then firmed in straight away. So was put up $4.80. So let's just call it $3.50 after deductions there early into about $2, and looking to be very solid. 210 across the totes at around $2.15 on Betfair as well. Was the only horse that was really back. There's a little bit of money for Shashisha down the bottom there, but Rise at Dawn was the only one they wanted. The winner Waterford was about $5.50 out to 7, $8.60 best on Betfair. I gave Waterford a good chance. NCAP $6.50 and pretty friendless out to about $10 as well on Betfair. So let's go into the race and have a look at why. That's today's screen. At why Rise of Dawn was so well backed. So if we can reverse engineer a few of these things, and the other thing is, this is why I think Rise of Dawn was well backed. But you guys know a hell of a lot more in certain respects than what I do and in different areas. So I definitely want your feedback on this. And I'm going to do it every week where I go and pick one or two races and I reverse engineer them as to why the horse was so well backed. So if I miss anything, please tell me in the comments why I've missed anything. Or if you've also got one that I didn't talk about, which there's obviously a lot of horses that are well backed that I'm not talking about, but you see something there, please let me know as well. Because the more we share information, the better punters we're going to become. Rise at Dawn. So let's just get into this. So Rise at Dawn, my comment was stuck on well first up, now second up with a class edge, rank 1, jockey edge, hard to hold out. I think 4 or 8 will win. Where Waterford did win, that's great. On top for me, Waterford, but Waterford wasn't Waterford wasn't as impressive first up, and neither was NCAP. So what I want to do is go to this other screen here, which is my old the old screen I used to use, which is easy to show ratings on. So I want to talk about the 4 horses in the market, which are Rise at Dawn, NCAP, Waterford, and Shashisha down the bottom. So let's have a look at Rise at Dawn. So Rise at Dawn's, this is just pure time ratings, this one, weight-adjusted time ratings. So the weight-adjusted time rating for Rise at Dawn's first up run was 94.66. Let's call it 95. So equal to this virtually if we call this 95. So pretty much an equal peak top rating first up over 1,400 metres, which arguably is a little bit short for Rise at Dawn. You could say Rise at Dawn's best distance is 1,500 to 1,600 metres. If we have a look back as well, Rise at Dawn's second up. So let's just have a look at how Rise at Dawn, its last couple of preps, has gone second up. If we have a look over here at this is its first up run last prep where it rated 88. So 88, now we've gone to 94. It went from 88 to 95. So there was improvement there second up, going from 1,400 to 1,600. Then the prep before that, if we look down here, third, fourth, is where's its last? Geez, my eyes are bad. Its last first up run was here, 1,400 to 1,600 again. So it went from 85 to 87, from 1,400 to 1,600. So as you can see, there's that one there, 1,400 to 1,600, and there's this one here, 1,400 to 1,600. Both have improved second up from first up runs. If we have a look over here, which we have before at the sim score, I look for anything usually over 10. So eighth of the third. So this is over 10. So what this is telling us is this is the most similar race. This one here is the most similar race. Why is it the most similar race? Well, it's second up. And it's over a fairly similar distance, 15 against 16, the same prep time in the career. So what this is saying is that Rise at Dawn will improve. So what I'm trying to do here is produce an expected rating for Rise at Dawn. So if Rise at Dawn rated 95 in its first run, you're really nearly predicting it's going to go to a peak. It's only ever done 95, but you're going to think it's going to improve off that. So let's say can't improve too much, you wouldn't think, because in its whole career, it's the most it's ever done is 95. Let's call it 96. So basically the expected rating for Rise at Dawn I'm going to put in is 96. Let's have a look at the other horses in the race under $10. We go to NCAP. So NCAP's first up run was an 85, which is below par. If we go to its previous time second up, so it's going from 1300 to 1500. If we go and have a look at its past second up performances, let's just have a look at last time. So last time it went from 13 to 15, exactly the same, but it didn't improve. It went from 94 to 88. So there wasn't a lot of improvement in that. And now it's gone worse first up and was, fairly disappointing. $26 in a harder race. Let's just have a quick look at the race strength, 96 to 95. So not a huge drop in race strength. What are we predicting? I won't go too deep into it, but you can see it probably isn't in the 90s there. So let's call it an 88 to be fair on it, that it will improve because the 85 looks quite low, but let's call it's below 90 anyway. I don't think you can say it's going to run over 90. Let's have a look at Waterford, who won the race. So Waterford first up did an 85 with a peak rating ever for Waterford back here, which was a Rosehill 1500 meter race, which is exactly the same. This is on the 27th of the 4th. So the 27th of the 4th, let's have a look at that one there. 27th of the 4th, you've got a 14. So 96, you could say that Waterford is going to improve. And Waterford does have the capability to improve, and that's one of the reasons why I liked Waterford. If you take this 15 run here as well, it's on 91. A little bit disappointing, as I said, first up. 85, you would probably call Waterford got more improvement because we've seen it goes good at Rosehill and over that distance range as well. So let's call Waterford around that 90. I'm just framing an expected rating to then try and sort of frame a market around why I think Rise at Dawn was so well backed. The other horse is Show Shisha down the bottom. 90, peak rating of 90, 88, third up. So 90, 88, dropped a little bit. Let's just call it 90. So if we go through those three ratings, we've got Rise at Dawn on 96, and then just call them a group on around 88 to 90. So 88 to 90. So that's a big difference. 96 back to 88. 88 to 90. So let's now move on to the map. That's one reason why I think Rise at Dawn was well backed. Let's move onto the map now. And as you can see here, we're predicting a slow tempo over that 1500. Rise at Dawn's your leader. Leaders off slow tempos are often very, very well backed as well. We've got Waterford sneaking in there as well, which was the winner. So that's why I sort of liked Waterford a bit. I thought Waterford could sit closer. And also I had Waterford top pick value-wise from Rise at Dawn, but thought Waterford could sit closer and could do the number to win the race as well. And as it panned out, it worked on that occasion. The other reason is this one here, which is race strength. So the race strength, when you do go and have a look at this race, so Gringotts was scratched. Faulkner Park needs longer, although it's a classy horse, it needs longer. The reason Gringotts is still in there is because I'm using an old I'm using a test screen while we're getting that 2 weeks thing put on where you can go back 2 weeks. So I'm just using a test screen at the moment. But actually, if you were on TK's out on Saturday Live, Gringotts wouldn't have been appearing. But yeah, Faulkner Park needed longer, but did have a race strength rating of 97. But if you just look at the 4 in the market there, the 4 chances, you'll see Rise at Dawn has got a race strength rating of 97. You'll see NCAP has got a race strength rating of 96. You'll see Waterford's got a race strength rating of 94. And you'll see Shoshisha has got a race strength rating of 93. So now you've got a horse with the best ratings, the best class, and he's going to map in front. So those are 3 key reasons why I think Rise at Dawn was so well backed and so solid in the market. If you've got anything to add to that for either of those 2 races or any other races, please let me know. Let's move on and do a bit of analysis on the TKZ analysis screen. So I thought we'd go back and have a look at September because we're coming to the end of September. So let's just go and do a bit of housekeeping and see how the officials have gone for September. So we go 1st of September through to the 28th of September. And then let's run that query now. So everything else is blank, and we'll run that query and have a look and see what we're dealing with. So plus 7.4, which is a good result, 7.4%. That's off the high average price since the form's released at about 10 a.m. 453 bets, 108 winners, 23% strike rate, which is great as well. So 1 in 4 winners virtually. Let's go and have a look at the number 1 selection and see how that's fared for the month. So that's plus 5.5%, 1,231 bets, 331, 26% strike rate, 5.5% profit. Let's just go and have a look at the lays as well so you can see the disparity between the 2. Lays, right, wow. So 771, 89 wins, 11%, -9. So if you had have backed all the lays, which you wouldn't do, you don't back the lays. These are horses I don't like. If you had have backed them, you would have lost 9%. If you had have backed the tips, you would have won 7%. So you can see the difference there in September is good. There's a difference of about 16, 17% disparity between the top and the bottom, which is huge. Let me just go back to the backs, and I just want to show you on Saturday, because we had a couple of good Saturdays, but we also had a couple of bad Saturdays in there as well. So I'm just interested to see how the tips are gone for Saturday. So we're winning 12 on Saturdays, winning 12.5% there on Saturdays, 21% profit, which is great as well. Hopefully we can keep the ball rolling as well. One thing I just want to say about this whole product that I am offering is that it will work so well with the current system that you are using. By that, I mean, so to create this system, I get all of my information, but I also use some external information and I use some public information. I use anything I can get my hands on to feed into the system to make the results better. I don't just rely on my own knowledge. Probably, 75% of the system is my own proprietary data, but then I'll get things out of certain areas that are available publicly, like fluctuations or whatever else it might be, to feed into the system to polish it up, to add that to add the extra 2, 3, 4% of whatever it may be. And it might be just about cutting out 20% of my bets. So for $25 on a Saturday, what you can do, or $50 for the meeting, you might look at it and go, oh, it might be too much, but I pay for information myself. Why do I pay for it? I pay for it because it cuts out not so much adds in, but cuts out probably 20% of my bets that might be losing bets where I've missed something. So I find if you have three, say you have three sources of information, one might be, or even let's call it two. One might be your own and one might be somebody else's. That is going to be a lot more powerful than just yours. And the reason being is that if you put more, smart information into one pot, it's going to produce better results than just your own. And that's one thing that I've neglected a little bit over the last sort of, I don't know, probably 5 years. Over the last few months, I've been injecting that back into the model because I've had a little bit more time to sort of think about it, and I'm putting that back into the model, and it is helping. So, from a point of view of if you are running your own stuff, I think adding it in, it doesn't have to be my stuff that you add in, it can be anything. But think about adding in market fluctuations or things that you can test. The good thing about this is you can test everything. One of the things I've really been doing the last couple of weeks is working on this screen to get it to you guys. I'm not sure of a time frame, but I've been working on it so that you can test these edges. So and incorporate them into your own betting. So that that is really, really important that you're not just thinking about your own form and the way you do it. Obviously, you're thinking about your own form and the process you do it, but also think about it from an outside point of view where what else can I add into it that's just going to lift it? Because it's hard to get over that, over the chasm of say 5%, where you're getting 10% and what you really need to make yourself a profitable punter. And often it can be something else that just gives you that lift. So if your system's producing 30 bets a day, you take 10 out and you've got 20 really solid bets where you agree with somebody else, it does work a lot better and it does add extra ROI and taking out those losing bets, or taking out what I call sometimes lazy bets, and they're often saving bets now, where the market doesn't really allow you to have two, three, four bets a day because it's all about value at the end of the day. It's all about back and winners, and it's all about staying in the game, and it's all about staying in the zone. And I'll be back on Friday with hopefully some more winners for BetMax. Have a great week.
Think, is this a bet you really want to place? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.